This is part two of self-hatred. This video will probably be longer. I will try to keep this PG-13. So if you're a child and you're under 13, you probably should not be watching this. So, self-hatred for black people. Self-hatred for black people started in the black community. And it basically started with our color wheel. Because the light-skinned black people, we think we're privileged black people because we have a little bit of white in us, so we're highly privileged. The self-hatred in that is that we don't know how we got the white blood in us, and most of us are probably ashamed that we have white blood in us because other blacks look at us like we think we're better than them. That would be the people who are up here and higher on the color wheel. I'm not even in the middle. I'm closer to the light side of the color wheel versus people who are brown and darkest. All right? There's a lot more colors to go down. I only have two. I'm two-toned. High yellow and tannish, copperish brown. All right? So the darker you get on the color wheel, you assume the worst out of the lighter people of color, black people, and you assume the worst out of the darkest of the black people. The ones who, coined a phrase by most black Americans, these guys are truly descendants of Africans. Alright? And just in case you haven't heard that, that was not me being racist, that was me speaking factual stuff. Because according to growing up in middle school and grade school, the darker you are, the closer your roots were to Africa. I come to find out that that might not be scientifically the truth. The truth of the matter is, I don't think your skin tone has anything to do with how much African blood you have in you. I think that your skin tone happens to do with the region of Africa in which your people may descend from. But since most Americans are descended from slaves that were brought over on slave ships, it is hard to say what region they're from without a 23andMe DNA test. Or an ancestor DNA test, which once I get enough money and get my stuff straight, I'm going to take both to see which one is accurate. Because this is what your family tells you and what y'all believe you know versus what the DNA tells you. But I've also watched other people take it and they straight say that this thing is not 1000% accurate, but it is in a very close proximity and it can match you with DNA of people who very well may be kin to you somewhere down the line, which could be first cousins all the way to like the 13th cousin twice removed. So self-hatred of black people. Darker black people hate the fact that they're dark and that light black girls or white girls don't really want a black man. There is a movie on this. I have no idea what it's called, and I caught like the ass end of it on one of those HBO channels. So I don't know what it's called. Google might help y'all. I don't even really want to see it because I've dealt with enough of self-hatred issues myself growing up. I don't need to deal with it as a grown man. But when you're in the middle, which I'm not in the middle, I thought it was in the middle, there's actually a shade darker than me versus the 4 or 5 shades lighter than me. It's like 5 shades darker than me before you get to dark. And then there's 10 shades darker than dark. So the color wheel thing for black people is one of those things that led to self-hatred. And the darker to the darkest have a issue with the lighter to the off-whitest of light black people. And these self-hatred things because, okay, if you're at the dark end, you think that the people at the light end think they're better. Well, here's a funny thing about that. The people at the light end are kind of mad because their African heritage doesn't show, where the people at the dark end's African heritage does show. And they're a little bit mad because they are more closer to their white ancestry than their black ancestry, and they kind of seem to have lost a big chunk of their history. But the truth of the matter is, you haven't lost your history, you just don't know your damn history, and that's a problem. But that self-hatred builds in when you have people of your people telling you that you ain't nothing. Those are not the words I wanted to use, but I'm trying to keep it PG-13. Just know that it starts with the S and ends with an itch. Okay? That's not it at all either. It ends with an it. Anyway, overcorrecting myself. when it comes down to self-hatred for black people is a big, horrible disease that we all have, because we'll look in the mirror and we'll see features that we see. The mirror doesn't really lie, but we who look in the mirror and see the reflection back look deeper than the people we talk to. I know what my face looks like. You know, could I draw a self-portrait? Probably not. But, you know, when I talk to other people, it's like, okay, so the face you see, is it the same face that I see when I take a picture? When I look in the mirror, is it the same face? Yes, it is. The difference maker is when you look at yourself, you see what you want to see when your soul peers back. You know, when you look at yourself, you see your flaws. You see if you're ugly to yourself, you will project that and the world will see you as ugly. So I had to learn how to stop doing that. And I learned that the hard way when I got first degree burns here and here. Still got some on my shoulder. So I had hated myself for a long time. And I'm going to tell you why. A lot of it came from, one, not being accepted. And two, every girl that I always liked. Everyone, even as an adult, every girl I've always liked has always told me that I was ugly. And I believed it. I believed it until the good Lord and my car made it happen. After that, you know, I grew up real fast. After almost like losing an eye and burning my face off, I learned two things. One, these girls are shallow and they're not going to like me no matter what I do. And two, if you don't like you, no one's going to like you. Alright? So I learned how to love myself the day I burnt my face, you know, because I almost burnt it completely off. And I learned to be less shallow on how people think or view me. But there are still black people who still hate themselves because of the simple fact that we're black. That is ingrown. It's not ingrown in our homes. It's ingrown in black society because black people hate black people more than anybody else. It's the same thing as women love women until a man is involved. And then women are women's own worst enemy. You know, if I had a crush on this girl versus the girl I actually have a crush on, but I told the girl that I don't have a crush on about the girl that I have a crush on, and this girl has a crush on me, she will do everything she can to make sure that that girl does not like me. Henceforth, when I go and approach the girl that I have a crush on, and she says, I heard everything about you from such and such, and you're an ass, and all this other stuff, and there goes that PG-13, you see the CF that's happening. Women are women's own worst enemy, depending on the situation. No one hates a woman more than a woman. I didn't used to believe that, but as facts have come to light, it is the truth. There's a state that I did a video on about how a woman who is like a congresswoman or something in charge has banned abortions there, including in the cases of rape and incest. And I said to myself, this will be on record unless somebody rapes her granddaughter or her daughter, and then she'll be the first one to go and make sure that child doesn't come into existence and get an abortion. Because I'm going to tell you like this, if my daughter is raped, I don't give a damn what state we're in, she's going to have an abortion. She's not going to have the rapist baby. That's just something that I'm strongly against. I know that was off topic, but that's the point that I had to make about women being their own worst enemy. Now, moving on, black people are black people's own worst enemy. Black people don't want to see other black people get ahead. Period. They don't. Now, with the exception of a few, you know, there are some black people who are more than willing to help other black people get ahead and reap the benefits of that, because most people who are grateful give back to people who help them out, where most people who aren't grateful and selfish, false race furl-ups, you know, they don't care about what was given to them, the opportunities that was given to them so that they could actually have a thorough, good lifetime of happiness. Well, black people have a tendency to make sure that the next black person doesn't make it. That's why there's so few black celebrities versus how many white celebrities are. That's why there's so few black actors working in big time stuff, because a lot of the other big time black actors aren't trying to open that door because they want it for themselves. So unless the director or the casting director or the producers of the movies, like, actually we want an unknown. We want a fresh new face to have a fresh new take. We want new eyes on this. You're not who we want. We want somebody unknown. We want to go pick somebody up off the street, which I hope that's me one day. But it's like that. But if it's an all black production, you have tiny issues with the color wheel. So when I was making Fallen Dragons, not Fallen Dragons, because there was like maybe 3 black people, 2 black people and 1 African. Everybody else was Asian and 1 white guy. So that kind of 3 black people and 1 African. Jay Diz, Bruce Johnson, myself, and Lewis was the only guy from Africa. And then the girls were from Vietnam, 2 Chinese guys, and 1 Filipino guy. So yeah, and then there was the white guy. So yeah, when you have a small production of people of color, and you don't get all the people of color, there's a big CF. When I was doing Guardians of the Earth, all I could get was black people, and I had to make sure that if anything was going to be directed at like racial disparities, that it was directed at me, because I know not to take it seriously because I've been doing it all my life. Well, my sensei, who teaches me Saber Night Lights, also a martial artist, and I was a martial artist, so in the beginning, when we first met, I was more like his sensei, and the roles have basically swapped. So, Courtney, there was a couple of lines that he was okay with that I wasn't okay with, because he's a little bit further down on the color wheel. And Jay Diz had caught his foot and said, "I got you now, you black bee." And I almost lost my wig on that one. After the scene was, I said, "Nah, we gotta do it again. We're editing that. We cannot have that in there." And then Courtney and I had a little talk. And Courtney convinced me to let the line stay. You guys can find that on here somewhere. And the reason we had the talk was because of our differences on the color wheel and how I viewed it versus how he viewed it. But since this was like his first acting thing, for me, it was not okay. For him, it was okay. And he explained to me. He sat down. He literally talked to me for like maybe 10 minutes about how this is life. And this is how you have to deal with this. Because he's darker skinned. This is the stuff that he's put up with. And I'm like, well, see, I'm mixed. And this is the stuff I had to put up with. And I don't like anything that's racially insulting to black people or any other person unless it's directed at me, because I know that it's acting and I can handle it, because all my life I've had to deal with being called a half-breed or a half-nigger or half-red-skin or whatever. Whatever racial derivative, I've been called it. So, I've had to deal with that. So, I know you guys are thinking, what does that have to do with self-hatred? That was examples of self-hatred, because I didn't want people of his tone, of skin tone, to hate themselves because they were darker. And I didn't want people of my skin tone to hate darker skin tone people, because Jay Diz is a little bit lighter than Courtney. Him and Tay are running on the same chart on the color wheel, where Courtney was a little darker on the color wheel. And Courtney showed me that there was no self-hatred for him and his skin tone, and that he was proud to be his skin tone. And I got it. It took me a while to get it, because I grew up with self-hatred. And he didn't grow up with self-hatred. He grew up with being black and being proud. Courtney, I'm sorry for using you as the example on this, by the way. And, there are some of us who are dark and proud to be dark, and there are some of us who are light and not proud to be light, and some of us who are light and proud to be light. Where there are some people who are dark who are not proud to be dark, and they wish that they were lighter. So there's going to be a third video. So we're going to end it right here. Thanks for watching.